just failed this first test. At least when we read, we expect you to answer. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you very much. Now we can start. Excellencies, they are present, the Governor of Nasarawa State, we are based. I recognize the Governor of Kaduna State, the representative and deputy governor. I have the Minister of State for Health, also seated here, and I have the Minister of State Development seated here. And I'm very recognized. We are waiting for the Minister for Solid Minerals, and I welcome you as a chair. I know you have done for 3 minutes out of 2 hours for So I'm going to make my welcome speech very short. First, let me say that we are not here today just to talk. I agreed to hold this conference, and I call it conference, here in Abuja, because a whole lot of people feel that the new style of having a brainstorm may be too tedious for our rich friends from the mining sector and for all of the excellencies that I can present. Normally, when you come to a brainstorm session like we do new style, everybody stands. Nobody sits. You have the tall table to stand over. You have to think on your feet. But today we are seated, and I want to remind us that we are not here for talks. We are here to take the best out of you. We are going to squeeze everything you have in your brain in order to make what we can do to ensure that the mining sector succeeds in Nigeria. For us at least, the mandate is to work towards a better Nigerian society. And if you are going to get that better Nigerian society, we need to start with thinking and talking. And that is where we are here today. You will recall, and at several fora, Mr. President has always said that Nigeria needs to be a $1 billion economy in the very, very near future. That is in the next few years. And the question for us at Bruit has always been, how can we deliver $1 billion economy? It's not $1 billion economy. $1 billion economy, which is $1 billion times $1 billion. Currently, Nigeria is said to have the highest, or sometimes the second highest GDP in Africa. Okay, let me just pause a little bit while the Minister for Solid Minerals makes his entry. Can you please clap for this? Honorable Minister, you are welcome because we've been expecting you to take your seat. The final outcome of all the deliberations will be consumed by the Honorable Minister, and I'm excited that getting in from the start. I was saying that if you are going to deliver on the $1 billion economy, currently Nigeria does $475 billion. How can we get to $1 billion in the next few years? Now, for me, next few years is 5 years. Can we get to $1 billion? And for us at least, we thought of it and we said, if we are even going to be near it, we need to identify the critical sectors of our economy that can deliver on that promise. We cannot overlook the petroleum sector because it has not been so. We believe that the petroleum sector has concluded most of the $475 billion. So we need to charge other sectors in order to be able to get the difference between $475 and the $1 billion that Mr. President is looking for. So we identified the mining sector as one of the sectors that can contribute to our reaching $1 billion economy in a very short time. We believe that the $1 trillion economy cannot be achieved if the mining sector is underperforming or is not paying its own fair share. Of course, there are other sectors. For us, at the end, we started working with the manufacturing sector. We believe the manufacturing sector can deliver a 5% year-on-year growth in the next 5 years. The GDP of Nigeria will significantly increase. Now we are on the mining sector. Steel is part of it. There is no country that has made significant contributions to its own GDP or that has grown without a successful steel sector. So I'm so excited that the Minister for Steel is also here, because between the two ministries we expect that significant contributions, up to 70% of what is left for us to reach the $1 billion economy can be contributed by those two ministries. So that is why we are here today. And if we are going to also meet the expectations of Mr. President, we need to agenda in all the political sectors to be firing on all cylinders. So today I welcome all of you for finding the time to discuss, to think, discuss, and chart a pathway for the mining sector of Nigeria. Can the mining sector within the next 5 years increase our GDP significantly? Can it contribute in dollar terms $300 billion year in, year out, starting from 2004? From 2024. I believe the mining sector and the steel sector can contribute $300 billion. That is the target we have at least. That is why we have called all of us together. We are going to look at all the sectors, we are going to look at all the states, we are going to look at every other thing that has to do with mining and chart to move forward. Excellencies here present and honorables, past and present, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you. Please be ready for an intensive 2 days. We want to monitor, we want to meter everything everybody says, and we are going to specifically look for ways and means of ensuring that we account for how the $300 billion can happen. If at the end of the day it cannot happen, we will see how far we can go, and the outcome will be presented to the two ministers that are present here. There are some other ministries that also impact on the sector. We have Ministry of Health, because when you mine, it has its own health hazards. And of course, when you also mine, it has environmental impact. So we are hoping that the Minister for Environment will also come and listen to how the expectation of growth in the mining sector will impact on the environment. Of course, security is very, very key. We have additions to the fact that banditry has been promoted mainly by legal mining. So we have representatives of the security sector here. The ID is represented here. I'm sure we're going to take something back. To our keynote speaker, I welcome you. I know you are the president of the Nigerian Mining and Sciences, and I know you are going to do justice, helping us to start off very well. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome to this great common session. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe that applause is not good enough. Thank you so very much for honoring us. I discovered that when the Minister of Solid Mineral was coming in, the Director General decided to introduce him straight. He was saying, no, just go on, don't introduce me. But it gladdens our heart that
the Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Henry Dene Alake, is here present with us. Please can we welcome him? Permit me to also quickly recognize those who have shown enough passion to be here this morning. I want to particularly welcome the former National Security Advisor, Major General Abadana. You are most welcome, sir. Thank you very much for having me. And of course, I want to also sincerely recognize the former Minister of State for Trade and Investment, Ajia Aisha Abubakar. You are most welcome. I need to report here that Ajia Aisha Abubakar, if I'm not mistaken, was the first person to arrive here today. Which shows that she came very early. You're welcome. We have been mandated to bring forward the representative of the Minister of Environment, who is present here. Please, wherever you are, kindly just come and join us here. We know that the Minister had to, he gave his word that he would be here, but he had to go for other things. So please, Kuru. Now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to introduce my partner, whom will be anchoring this occasion together, in person of Mrs. Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak of NTA. Mrs. Claire, please. My name is Shola Adelabu Emina. I welcome you all.
Thank you very much, Professor. So Adeojo has already set the protocol, but as we thought, I'll only acknowledge the highest office here, and that should be the office of the Executive Governor of Nassau State, Your Excellency, our own engineer, Abdullahi Silo, and other distinguished excellencies here, distinguished participants, good morning and welcome. I'm reminded by the reports of an American author, Tony Oda, and she says in one of her books that mining is a very dangerous profession, and there is no complete safe measure for it. But she was speaking from experience because she lived in a coal mining city of Pennsylvania. We don't know what the situation is today, but we certainly know what art history is in the mining sector. So I'd like to ask the former Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Mohammed, please let me understand. Your Excellency, the Governor of Nassau State, Engineer Sule Abdullahi, Your Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, you represent Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Honorable Minister of Steel, Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals, who is the host of this very session. I recognize you and welcome you. My brother, the Minister of Steel Development, British Rebel Abubakar, you're welcome. Honorable Minister of Steel for Health, you're very much welcome. And that's Dr. Tuji Alausa. The representative of the Minister of Environment is here. I recognize you. The IGP is equally here, there by the IG, Frank Black. You're most welcome. I also want to recognize all of course, our people, the speaker, and all our ambassadors, especially especially the Spanish ambassador to Nigeria, who is here, who was one of the first people to come here. Because all the stakeholders in the industry, both from the government sector, the public sector, the investors, without you, there will be no brainstorming. You are most welcome. As the managing director of Bruit Costaud, it is with great privilege and enthusiasm that I welcome you to this pivotal gathering focused on the sustainable development of Nigeria's mining sector. Bruit Costaud, or BC, was established with a clear vision to serve as Nigeria's foremost commercial diplomacy firm, fostering collaboration between government entities and the private sector, and at the same time bridging the gap between policy formulation and implementation. In today's complex landscape, the convergence of public and private interests is paramount for driving sustainable growth. Therefore, at Bruit Costaud, we are committed to fostering meaningful dialogue and cooperation among diverse stakeholders, transcending traditional barriers and fostering a culture of mutual understanding and collaboration. Our aim is to get these stakeholders to stop talking at one another and embrace the culture of talking to one another. Our partnership with the Washington, D.C.-based lobbyist firm, Ballard Partner Group, has enabled us to assemble a formidable team of professionals with extensive experience across all levels of government. This partnership permits us to advise government on key sectors such as the mining sector. The advisory board of BC consists of former ministers, retired ambassadors, energy and security experts, and global innovators, such as Tumbade Adebayo, the former governor of Ekiti State, and the immediate past Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. Mrs. Aisha Abubakar, former Minister of State for Investment, and currently Chairman of Asima Business Women Group. Major General Abagana Mohammed Nguno, a retired general and former National Security Advisor of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dr. Joy Salanyo, former Chief Economic Advisor to the President. And Babatunde Adishon, a former Nigerian career diplomat. Engineer Abdurrashid, media and accomplished executive in the energy industry with about 25 years experience in Europe, North America, and Asia, the Middle East. And in Yoruba Voyage, founding partner Future Africa and co-founder of Andela and Flutter, two Africa's unicorns. We proudly stand here as arguably the first Nigerian firm, openly led and driven by former government officials. We firmly believe that public service transcends our previous portfolios, but rather a continuous pursuit of dedicated service, impact, and problem solving, which is our core motivation, first as individuals and then as an entity. I would like to say that we are proud to be leading and transforming the public policy and advocacy landscape based on the prevailing lobbying models in developed nations that are mostly owned and driven by a group of former senior government officials. On the strength of our partnership with the Ballard Partners Group, we will maintain a global presence with strategic alliances extending across across Africa, Asia, Europe, and America. Still on partnership, I would like to express my profound gratitude to the visionary leadership and management of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, for their confidence in our brand and their willingness to collaborate with us in fostering dialogue, innovation, and progress in shaping Nigeria's economic landscape. Our partnership with NIPS serves as a pivotal force, propelling us towards this exciting new frontier, drawing from the institution's wealth of knowledge and resource in policy and strategic studies. I take immense pride in highlighting that our alliance with NIPS represents a fusion of diverse expertise, experiences, insights, and research capabilities, enriching the scope and depth of discussions set to unfold at this summit. One of the fruits of the collaboration between Bruit Costaud and NIPS is this brainstorming session for stakeholders in the mining industry in Nigeria. We are optimistic that today's gathering marks the beginning of what will be a series of fruitful collaborations between the two entities, aimed at advancing different sectors in Nigeria. Furthermore, we are actively pursuing partnerships, including an ongoing collaboration effort with the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, further underscoring our commitment to driving sectorial growth and development. At BC, we leverage our extensive knowledge, public policy experience, intergovernmental relationship, and strategic partnerships to exceed our clients' expectations in any strategic capital of the world. In Nigeria specifically, our partnership with NIPS enables us to provide strategic counsel to institutions on interactions and partnerships with government entities. We enable investment decisions making, and we build corporate reputation and citizenship. We also drive alignments of corporate interests with government policy objectives. Through this brainstorming session of today, we hope to bring key stakeholders in mining for the private sector, government, and civil society to discuss the current mining landscape in Nigeria and explore potential opportunities for investment facilitation and sector development. In closing, I extend my profound gratitude to all esteemed guests in attendance, in particular His Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State, Her Excellency Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, and of course the host of this conference, the Honorable Minister of Solid Rural Development, Dr. Ilanaki. All ministers present, all representatives of governors present, our people from the academia, the private sector, government, and investors. I also express my gratitude to the board and management of Yam PLC, owners of the Abuja Continental Hotel, the venue of this event. Together, let us embark on this journey towards sustainable development, leveraging the power of collaboration and innovation to propel Nigeria's mining sector to new heights. I thank you very much.
It is my humble honor to introduce the Honorable Minister of Solid Mineral Development, my big brother and mentor, Henry Dele Anake. I'm sure his words will not only
inspire us, but will also celebrate our rich mineral heritage. Let's put our hands together.
Your Excellency, Governor of Nasarawa State, who is actually someone I would call, in my own private, from my private experience with him, in the last 10 months that I assumed office as minister, I gave them the Minister of State for Solid Minerals. This is not by chance or by accident. It's because of his assiduity, his interest, his enthusiasm, and his desire to actually open up the state and ensure that the state takes the right place amongst all other states in Nigeria in terms of the development of the mineral sector. He is one governor who has worked with me consistently and persistently and with such remarkable gesture, and we are delivering results. I do not want to jump the gun, but through the collaborative efforts of the ministry and His Excellency, the President is going to perform a milestone event very, very soon in the mining sector and in Nasarawa State. I myself had the privilege a couple of months ago to perform the groundbreaking ceremony of the lithium processing factory, also in Nasarawa State. Your Excellency, the representative of the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, my brother, Minister of Steel, my younger brother, Minister of State for Health, Dr. Tuji Alausa. I said it's my younger brother because we've come a long way over several decades. I recall in those days when the President was Governor of Lagos State, and in the year 2099 thereabouts, we started the program of giving out free eyeglasses, and that was known as Jiki Bola. Jiki in Yoruba language is glasses, so it's Jiki Bola. Giving free eyeglasses to indigent people, to transporters, to drivers, to the general public. And Dr. Tuji Alausa was one of the instruments that we used in Chicago. He was very, very well grounded and entrenched in the Chicago medical industry, and he was one of the biggest players in Chicago at the time. And, so when we started the project of giving out free eyeglasses, we discovered that it was very, very expensive. Incidentally, Alhaji Lai Muhammad was also there with us. He was the chief of staff at that time in Lagos, so he's aware of what I'm saying. And we had to be creative because there was unbridled penchant of our people for freebies. So all the glasses that we procured from the state boss were just not enough and never enough. So we had to be creative. And Dr. Alausa in Chicago and some of the president's friends there in Chicago, Dr. Shodo, Professor Abu, and a couple of them, linked us up with the World Green Pharmaceutical Company in the US. And the company, through their efforts, donated 500,000 pairs of glasses for us which we distributed to everybody. Again, that wasn't enough. So we went back for more and more and more until the Congressman Danny K. Davis had to tell us that, oh, we are not the
was the only country leading classes. There were others, so we stopped. Thank you very much. The representative of the IG, and to cut short this protocol, I crave your indulgence to just sit on the existing protocols. Because normally Nigerians and Africans stand on the existing protocols. But my own style is to sit on the existing protocols. So the protocols won't have any chance of popping up its head. The organizers of this event, I thank you, Alhaji Lai Mohammed and the NIPS for this very laudable initiative to collaborate with us in the solid mineral sector. Alhaji Lai Mohammed, by the way, like I said, is not a stranger to us or to me. We've also come a long way, over 40 years association. And I recall that when he was chief of staff to the governor, now the president, I was the commissioner for information and strategy. And Alhaji Lai Mohammed had a repertoire of anecdotes with which he spiced up every 10th executive council meeting or even other events. And I recall at one time, himself and the former vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who was then the commissioner for justice in the same cabinet with us, they used to throw banters at each other. And one day they were throwing banters, and the governor, now the president, said, look, both of you just keep quiet, you are all shot anyway, you are shot. So, I like it, sprang up and said, no, he was taller than the commissioner for justice, the former vice president, Professor Osinbajo, and he was taller than him. And Professor Osinbajo retorted that, look, he had no qualms because however short you are on this earth, you can always see the sky. Also jumped back to say that at the last campaign that we had for one of our elections there, or by-elections in Lagos State, that in the SUV vehicle given to Professor Osinbajo, it was an open roof vehicle, that Professor Osinbajo stood up in the car, but that he was so short that his head didn't come out. And that we had to go and look for a stool. So I would stand on the stool. And the crowd would see his head. Such was the revelry that we enjoyed and under the leadership of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu at that time. And that was also the characteristics of our executive council meetings, where we engaged in post-debate, exhaustive deliberations, leading to conceptualization of policies, enunciation of those policies, execution of the policies, and then, most importantly, monitoring of those policies, which all culminated in what Lagos is today as the 5th largest economy in Africa. And that is what informed our new focus on solid minerals in Nigeria. Somebody did ask here a few minutes ago, I think the lady, that she wondered why there wasn't any nexus between policies in the solid minerals and the results that were expected. Well, so many reasons have been adduced, but from my own modest vantage point and assessment too, the fault has never been in our stance, it's always been in ourselves. Nigeria since 1960 or even beyond, before that, had always operated a monocultural economy, depending largely or substantially on oil. And because of the free flow of the petrodollars, we cast aside attention or cast away attention from the other like the solid minerals, like agriculture, like other salient sectors that will galvanize the gross domestic product of the country. So we became very permissive as a people, we became very indulgent as a nation, and we became also a consuming nation rather than a productive nation. And that's the reason, not that we had a shortage of policies, but because we had alternatives. We had another option of free dollars coming into the economy. So we just didn't bother. And it's just symptomatic of any human being, human inclination. If you are indulgent, if you are giving everything that you need, you will not be able to task your grace. You will not even be compelled to think to be able to become creative and improve your lot, because you believe that your lot is already improved anyway. That's what happened to us. However, because of the global trend today of movement away from fossil fuel, of which oil constitutes a substantial part, the global trend is shifting towards solid minerals. Because today there is a rise in emergence of electric vehicles, which are not powered by oil, but by vehicle and electric batteries, which is made from lithium, which is a solid mineral. And in Nigeria, God has blessed us so much that we have in abundance these rare metals, critical minerals, and critical metals to sustain us, to not just sustain Nigeria, but to push us up into becoming one of the wealthiest nations on earth. So now that the global trend is shifting away from it, and of course our own resources and revenue derivable from oil is also dwindling, we are now compelled to shift attention to where we should have put the attention in the first instance: solid minerals, agriculture, and the like. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the president, on assumption of office, made the diversification of the economy one of the critical points in his renewable agenda. And when we were sworn in and I assumed office in the solid mineral sector, I found out that solid minerals should become the pivot around which all other revenue generation agencies of government should revolve. And to actualize this, I came up with a 7-point agenda. And this 7-point agenda, as I go along, I'll read them out to you. And I'm sure it's by now very familiar, because I've been adumbrating this since August last year when I resumed office. I've even gone outside Nigeria to market this 7-point agenda. And believe me, one of the critical points of the 7-point agenda is local value addition. Because we found out that our minerals have been taken away for decades without any local value addition. They've engaged, the operators engaged in what we call pit to port. Pit is the digging, the mining, and then shipping out from the port. So we call it pit to port. That has been the mode of operation of the mining or mineral sector. But we are set to change it, and we have started changing it. It's therefore for me, ladies and gentlemen, a very great honor to be present at this stakeholder roundtable on the sustainable development of the mining sector. And I'm deliberate to use the word "our" because the sector and development of it is our collective responsibility. I believe we are gathered here today because we know that this sector holds great promise for our country. The President gave us a mandate to reorganize the sector from exploration to production to processing, with the ultimate objective of making it a key contributor to the national economy. And Nigeria is primed to become the new global mining destination. And of course, we will together make this vision a reality. The National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, deserves commendation for prioritizing the mining sector and appreciating its strategic value in the plans of the President to diversify the economy. As a foremost government think tank, this stakeholders roundtable will enrich its analysis of the sector and recommendations on the steps to be taken to enable the sector to deliver on its mandate. Conscious of the limitation of time and resources, we developed, like I said, a 7-point agenda, which is a roadmap for the transformation of the mining sector for national prosperity and international competitiveness. The components of the agenda are: 1, the establishment of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Corporation. Now, when I first read out this, a lot of people were a little bit taken aback and skeptical. Why? Because what ran in their minds was NNPC. Now, are we going to establish something similar to NNPC, which is like a quasi-government venture, with the attendant problems associated with that particular industry? But no, the proposed Nigerian Solid Minerals Corporation is vastly different in nomenclature and structure and in operation. The proposed corporation, from what we have drawn up, and which is in the Assembly, the National Assembly now, as a bill being brought down to establish this and give legislative teeth to it. The structure will be substantially private sector driven. We are proposing a 50% of the equity entirely to the private sector, 25% to Nigerians at large, Nigerians who are interested, members of the public, and then 25% to government. And the essence of this is to ensure that we are erecting enduring structures that will outlive this administration and outlive several administrations. And we are putting all of these structures in place and enablers so that no government to wield unnecessary political influence in the operation of that corporation. That's why we are putting in a largely private sector driven structure. Number 2 is the establishment of the mining police. Now, of course, everyone knows the nefarious activities and consequences of illegal mining. This has become so pernicious to the development of our economy. I must tell you, however, that illegal mining is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's almost global. But there are different ways of combating this illegal mining. In other climes, the illegal activities have been stemmed such that it is in this sector. And towards it, when I made strenuous representation to the President, with my other colleagues in the Executive Council, the President established an interministerial committee on securing the natural resources, the mining sector, the marine sector, and the forest reserves. And so I chaired this meeting, and through our deliberations, I drew out the mines marshal, which I unveiled a few weeks ago. Now, the establishment of the mines marshal is to be an agile, dynamic, and highly mobile force to combat illegal mining activities in many parts of Nigeria. As we speak, I've been able to draw 2,160 man-strong mines marshal, 60 in each state, and have been equipped. They were trained by the military for us. We took them out, gave them to the military, and the military trained them in the modern arts of warfare, because it is war. And now we are increasing the number because of the stringent calls from various operators, from various state authorities for the establishment or for the deployment of this mine marshals. And we are mining. As I speak right now, they are apprehending illegal operators in 10 a.m. sharp, I called my advanced team. They were already here, and I was reliably informed that the hall was not ready at that time because it was less than a quarter full. So I diverted to the office to deal with a lot of pressure that is coming every minute. And between then and now, I received 3 delegations coming to report illegal activities of miners. And I had to deploy the mines marshal. And with it, I treated 17 files between them and before I came here. When my advanced team told me that the governor of Nasarawa, my state minister, has arrived. So I quickly jumped and came here. But the essence is that without us securing the operating environment of the solid mineral sector, our efforts at inviting foreign, even local investors will be very futile. Because at every forum that I've been to in Australia, South Africa, Saudi, the UK, everywhere that I've gone to market on solid minerals, the first issue that always comes is security of the operating environment. So we are taking this very seriously, and we intend to sanitize the entire operating environment so that Nigerians can derive maximum benefit from this God-given resource. The third critical point of the 7-point agenda is gathering of comprehensive data on Nigeria's minerals to de-risk the sector. We are all aware, without any equivocation, that without efficient and proficient data, no investor can make an informed judgment of investment in the sector. Not only in the solid minerals, in any sector whatsoever, any investor will require efficient data so as to know what kind of mineral is where, what the volume of the mineral is, what the longevity or the tenure of that mineral is, so as to be able to decide whether it is worth his investment or not. For us to be able to gather these critical data, we are making strenuous efforts to ensure collaboration with the scientific and data-driven agencies, global agencies with world-renowned reputation in this instance. In fact, the World Bank has been quite cooperative with us through the NIMED project and with the collaboration with the World Bank. We've been able to conduct an aeromagnetic survey of the country to show us where minerals are located superficially. However, we still need drilling, exploration to be able to come up with accurate data of the volume and the spread of such minerals. And we are cooperating with a lot of these scientifically based data agencies. In fact, we are working with the United World Bank, Excalibur, and the German company, Geoscan. In fact, the federal government signed a memorandum of understanding with Geoscan. And Geoscan did a preliminary survey of our minerals, the output of the potential, and they gave us a figure of $750 billion worth of minerals embedded under the ground of Nigeria. That's a conservative estimate. Even from their own reports, it's a conservative estimate. By the time we conduct serious, accurate data exploration, we'll discover that we have trillions of solid minerals embedded under our ground in Nigeria. And you can multiply that by the naira. So the president's projection is not a fluke. He knows what he's saying. By the time we are done with all of these efforts and inputs and policy initiatives that we are putting in place, trillion of naira will just be a chance. We'll be nudging the trillions of dollars. Already, we are embarking on aggressive and proactive promotion of Nigeria Nigeria's endowment to foreign investors. And in fact, we are combating illegal mining, like I said. I've sold this to investors outside. Just a few days ago, late last weekend, I played host to one of the biggest players in the solid mineral sector of the world, the Glencore Corporation, in my office here in Abuja. They were so interested from the various marketing strategies that we put in place that they came down to Nigeria, to this Abuja, had the meeting with me, and we are moving ahead. They are one of the biggest players, and we need to attract the big players into this sector. Just like the oil sector, you have the majors, the oil majors, and those are the ones that can bring in the heavy foreign direct investment into the sector before we can start thinking of serious revenue yields. The other has spoken about value addition through industrial processing of extracted minerals and reduction of export of raw materials. This particular part of this 7-point agenda is very dear to my heart because I'm a very, very passionate student of history, and I know from history that Africa has been the butt of exploitation for centuries, and from pre-slavery to slavery to colonialism to the scramble for Africa, and then to neo-colonialism, and to today's exploitative collaboration. And of course, the developed world tells us that, oh, they are collaborating with us. But the collaboration in real terms is exploitative. They still cut away our raw materials in any sector and take them overseas. And I can mention countries in Africa that should be the richest economies of the world today, but are among the poorest. And they have in abundance the critical rare metals needed by the developed world to sustain their development and nurture their luxuriant way of life. But then the source where they take all these things are in abject and excruciating poverty. And this must change. So this local value addition I started as my own very passionate critical agenda. And of course, part of the marketing efforts that I've done on this local value addition. In Riyadh, I recall, that was the first time I presented this at the ministerial roundtable in Riyadh at the Future Minerals Conference. And after my presentation, all the African ministers of minerals, their presidents, came around and were extremely very impressed with this particular clause. And they adopted it. And thereafter, we formed the African Mineral Strategy Group, comprising all ministers of African states in charge of minerals. So all my ministers of minerals in all other African states came together to form this group. And I was elected the chairman. And today, just last Tuesday, I was invited as the guest of the president of Malawi to witness the signing of the Charter of the African Ministers Mineral Strategy Group, which we formed. Malawi, the president signed the charter, just like other African countries have also signed the charter. And I was invited as the chairman, pioneer chairman of this very critical group. Now, that's not the job. My job is that today, all African states have adopted this local value addition. And it has now become their own manifesto. There is nobody now going to be exporting our minerals in raw form without local value addition. Here in Nigeria, I announced about a few months ago that henceforth we will no longer approve licenses or applications for mining licenses without a critical path of local value addition in the application. No more. And have already started to implement it. So whoever is interested it generates employment, it creates all kinds of remediation efforts, and of course you cannot underestimate the overall impact on the revenue and contribution to the gross domestic products of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm told time is over, but I still have such a lot to say. But let me just stop at this juncture, waiting for other opportunities to expand, because I have so many things to say in terms of enlightenment on the efforts that we have made in opening up the solid mineral sector, in ensuring that we sanitize that sector for ease of doing business by investors and by sundry business, and of course, local beneficiation for the host communities. We did draw up an agreement, we call it a community development agreement, which every operator must sign with the host community even before they grant the license. It's now part of the requirement for granting the license. And this will also reduce tension between the operators and the host communities. And again, for illegal mining, we brought up a dual approach, like the former NSA would say, kinetic and non-kinetic approaches. So we have also brought a kinetic and non-kinetic approach, which in civilian language they call coercive and persuasive methods. Now, we alerted all the so-called artisanal miners and illegal miners to form themselves into cooperatives. So when they form themselves into cooperatives, they become legitimized, they become formal, they are no longer illegal, and then they become a structure that is bankable, and they can even approach financial institutions to obtain or procure funds to enhance and expand their business. And of course, invariably, once they become formalized and structured, government can then identify them and obtain the necessary royalties and taxes that government has been losing in the past. That's a persuasive method. And I'm happy to know the MC said that, yes, I did announce last week that about over 70 cooperatives have been formed since my announcement of that policy. But I'm happy to even let you know that as I speak, over 150 cooperatives have been formed in that regard. So, of course, we had to put in the coercive measure for those that are incorrigible or intransigent, or those that are impervious to correction. And that is the mind marshal. They are the coercive force that we will use to those who refuse persuasive line. Because in human endeavor, you have to employ both. Ladies and gentlemen, let me stop for here for further deliberations. Thank you. And I wish you very fruitful deliberations. And to this, you'll be expecting your report, the recommendations from this deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. There will be not so much time for you to explain more during the technical session, and I do hope you will stay back with us. Honorable Minister, I was saying there will be more time for you to do all the explanations, and we do hope you will stay back with us. The Honorable Minister talked about the need for securing the applicant empowerment, the need to also get the relevant data and, of course, measure the what and volume of investment area. He also talked about what the ministry and the federal government as a beacon of inspiration for us all. Please let us join hands in welcoming engineers here with passion for turning us from our state into an investment hub. It's not in that. And he will be declaring this something new for us. Excellencies.
So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Instead of sitting on the existing protocol, I would like to put this way. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Kuru State, and he was Honorable Ministers, especially the Host Minister of Solid Minerals, the Chairman of the House of Reps Committee Bruit, CEOs of the government and private institutions as far as the mining is concerned, major stakeholders, distinguished participants, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I think the Honorable Minister has said most of what I really would have loved to say. And so I'm going to make my speech very, very short so that we'll be able to conclude on time and go. So let me also join in appreciating this initiative by NIPS and Bruit Costaud for giving us the opportunity actually to be here. This is a long overdue initiative, and I'm happy that I'm part of it, and I'm happy that it is happening at this time, especially being driven by NIPS, an institution that was clearly put together in order to be driving this kind of policies. And now being driven on the other side, just like the minister wanted it by a private sector initiative, the Bruit Costaud. Well, Alailai Mohammed led the committee actually to visit me live here just about a few days back, or about 15 days back. You know, and they started discussing about this initiative. We thought it was just on paper, but today you have shown practically that you mean what you say, and I thank you for doing it. I'm particularly happy because just 3 years ago, year 2021, during a NEC meeting, chaired by the former Vice President, Professor Sibai, when all the governors were there, the Minister of Solid Minerals then was invited to come and make a presentation to us. And in my usual sense of ensuring that I touch on anything that has to do with mining, I think I decided to play with the tail of the tiger by asking for a reform in this sector. And nearly every governor was waiting for the opportunity because all parts of the country, everywhere, it was just illegal mining. It was the law. Everywhere you went was illegal mining. And so the moment I touched that subject, every governor was interested. In fact, one of the governors, I will call his name, got up and say, every time they bring their license from Abuja, I collect the license and give it and issue my own license. And the Vice President told him, he said, you are wrong. You can't do that. Because they don't do that in the oil and gas sector. They don't collect their license and do that. So we have to find a reform. Today, you can see how excited I am. And without even asking the minister to do the reform, he is carrying out the reform on his own, and that's why I was so excited about it. So when he mentioned about all these, because so far, we have not had any meeting where the minister was invited to come and make a presentation. But he had taken it, and the moment he said 50% of this structure is going to be private sector driven, for some of us who spend most of their life in the private sector, we know that's the right way to go. You can see how excited I was that this is where to go. And so, Honorable Minister, I want to really congratulate you. And I accept the position as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. And I think this is the right thing to go, because this 7-point agenda that you have is what is going to define the industry. Locally for me, I spent most of my life in the oil and gas sector, both in Houston, Texas, and here in Nigeria before I actually became the governor, or before I joined the Group and then later I became the governor. And so we have always said that Nigeria is really a gas country that is blessed with oil. Because in reality, Nigeria today has less than 40 billion barrels of oil reserve, but over 200 trillion standard cubic feet of gas in place. And some 15 years ago, nearly 80% of our gas was being flared, until recently when people started looking for options where the LNG, the LPG, and the rest of that started coming into place. And I came into Nasarawa State and discovered that we do have oil in Nasarawa State. As a matter of fact, it is one of the 3 northern states that have what we call the deep onshore line. And that is where the former president actually commissioned, the start of the drilling of our FNDA oil well after the one in Gombe. So it's still being drilled. And let me tell you something. Because of the presence of gas in Nigeria, even though that oil well they started drilling it in March last year. Up to this moment, they have not reached what we call the sand of interest, which means they have not reached the oil yet. 1 year later, and somebody will ask why, if we have technical people around. The reason is simple. They hit gas much earlier than necessary, and the gas prevented them from reaching the oil. And during the process, they lost the wellhead. They had to go looking for what we call the fishing tool to go and start looking for that. But all that is of great interest to me. However, solid mineral is of bigger interest to me as far as Nasarawa State is concerned. And that is the reason why I said I must be part of this event, and I'm happy to have had everything that I have had so far. Nigeria is blessed when it comes to solid minerals. And indeed, solid minerals is the way to go. The minister has said so much about so many things that I wanted to have said. Everywhere you see Mr. President now, in every country he has gone, the minister has become the senior minister. I'm the junior minister. I think the president is now the senior minister of solid minerals. Because what I see him doing is, everywhere he goes, he will say, in Nigeria, we have the highest purity of lithium. In Nigeria, I say, this man who's teaching about lithium. You know, and this is what is actually, going on, because the lithium is the direction to go. And to give you just a flashpoint, the Honorable Minister was here in Nasarawa State just a few months ago, to be part of the groundbreaking of a factory. But before I mention the size of that factory, he just mentioned to you again that Mr. President is going to commission the biggest factory so far in Nigeria that is going to be processing 4,000 metric tons of lithium a day, transporting to over 1 million metric tons of lithium a year. So far it will be our biggest, 4,000. But what is happening is that the one that the Honorable Minister actually came for the commission, of the start or the groundbreaking, that one is going to be processing 18,000 metric tons of lithium a day. And by the time they finish that, if you just want to have an idea of the quantity, if you know the tippers that are taking lithium, these big tippers, that are 15 tons tippers, it will mean 500 of those tippers a day that are going to be feeding that factory. And that is just in one location in Nasarawa. And as if that is not enough, we are now beginning to see another site that has even bigger amount of lithium than even that one that will be doing 18,000. This is how much Nigeria is blessed. And I just mentioned to you, when it comes to the oil, Nigeria has less than 40,000 barrels per day. By the time they finish all this audition, in Nasarawa, in Gombe, and the one coming up in that, Nigeria will end up with roughly about 50 billion barrels of oil reserve in the country. But when you come to this particular industry in mining, this is where to go. Because I'm just telling you, in one location, this is in one state, this is what you are getting. By the time you go to so many other states, Oshun, Kwara, Ogun, and the rest of that. I was in Dangote when we started the issue of cement. Initially, Nigeria was importing all her cement, and Nigeria then was consuming less than 20 million tons of cement a year. Now, Dangote alone has the capacity for aviation to Obajana and to Benue, has the capacity actually to produce over 25 million metric tons of cement from the limestone in Nigeria, from the sun in Nigeria, and the rest of that. What is that? Pure solid mineral development. So just like the minister, I can go on and on, which I don't intend to do. Therefore, with these few words, I would like to declare the 2-day summit open, and I thank you, and may God continue to bless you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please can we give His Excellency another round of applause. We want to thank His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, for all the good things that he has said and the passion for the mining industry. reasons why we are here, and we are going to really interrogate many of them with time today.
Just permit me to sit related to protocol already established. Since my time has been so shortened, and in fact I'm excited because the minister and the governor of excellency, it's like they had a bit what I've been so it made it easier for me. And it's a dangerous thing to come and speak after auditors. You know that the minister, when he talks, those of us who were watching your guy when we were looking at those days in Lagos knows that when he talks, you just want to listen to him. You know, he was the very first person to be commissioner for information and started. That was the first time such office was ever created in Nigeria. So you understand where he's coming from when he speaks. So it's a dangerous thing. You know that the person talking after him is a bit very weak, but notwithstanding, as I said, I'm going to skip some of the things that have been mentioned so that I don't bore us with repetition. As a geologist, we have been tempered by the forces of the environment. So when you stand before people who are seated to come and brainstorm, it means they have brought in brainy people. And if you come here to come and say rubbish, you just end up being shredded. But as a geologist, we are not going to be shredded. Some of my colleagues are looking at me because they understand what I'm saying. We are used to receiving both the tensile, compressive, and shear stress, and it makes us better. I want to commend the DG of Beats and the Bruit Costaud for this initiative. I also want to commend His Excellency Vice President Absentia for approving this kind of forum. For me, I'm not surprised that NIT is doing this. If they don't do this, you should be surprised. Because NIT is supposed to be for strategic thinking. It's supposed to be thinking without the box, not outside the box. So for doing this, you are just fulfilling one of the core mandates for which things have been set up. And I'm also not surprised that you quickly got approval from government to do this, because we are talking about the government of big thinkers. People who are big thinkers want to do big things. When someone said $1 trillion economy, people were like, how do you do it? Because when the job was broken down, how easy it is to get to $1 trillion economy within the next few years. So we are talking about a government who can think very deep and know how to get to their destination. Of course, the mineral sector in Nigeria, as we said, has been around for quite a while. But this mineral sector is both scientific and technical. It is a knowledge-driven sector. It requires requisite training to attain their corporate expertise and proficiency that are needed to understand the nuances of the sector. And I'm glad that the Honorable Minister is already using the technical terms so well. Globally, the operators and stakeholders in the sectors are versatile in what needs to be done and are fully schooled by formal and informal training experiences learned from the field and daily activities within the sector. The mineral sector is not a sector for lazy-minded people. It is not a sector for the lily-livered. It is a sector for huge risk takers. It is a sector for those who are willing to run the race with patience and perseverance. The race in the mineral sector is not a dash, but a marathon. The uniqueness of this sector requires unique, tailored solutions to master the potentials and to aggregate the benefits therefore for the citizens of any nation. Countries that have successfully leveraged the potentials of the sector are those challenges operating in that sector. These countries continue to reap bountifully from their painstaking approach to development of the sector. However, countries that have paid no attention to the uniqueness of the sector are currently paying the price for their lack of contribution for the loss of opportunities in the mineral and mining sector an attractive option. However, owing to the neglect of the sector for so many years, the emergent reality that fueled the value of government access in the Nigerian mineral and mining sector is lack of dominance of artisanal and small-scale miners, whose deployment of modern mining tools is limited and in many cases non-existent. The sector has moved on for so many years without any form of regulation and standardization. People of various shades and creed flock into the sector, turning vast areas into wasteland. The prevalent informality of the sector means loss of vital revenue that should otherwise have been to government, and the rule of the jungle and survival of the fittest ends sway for a very long time. The enactment of the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act 2007 and the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Regulation 2011 by the federal government was an attempt to rein in the impunity and end all commerce affairs in the sector. The Act and the regulation are described severally by people as a world-class legislation by all standards. This law, the regulation, made provisions for virtually every facet of the Nigerian mineral and mining ecosystem. They made provision for setting up appropriate agencies and departments of government charged with specific responsibilities and roles in the mineral and mining ecosystem. The law and the regulation also made provisions for how individuals, private and corporate entities can participate in the mineral and mining business in Nigeria. These were formulated to bring sanity and order into the sector. The question that will then rush to mind is, if the law is so perfect, why then the current confusion limits the sector? I guess that is why we are here, to brainstorm on the gaps, the weaknesses, and provide ways forward in the face of the experiences gathered over the last 15, 17 years of operating this law. As the group of experts and stakeholders present in this hall will embark on the brainstorming exercise on the sector for the next 2 weeks, a pathway that I would like to recommend is one that is focused on the strict implementation of the law of the land for now until it is amended in whatever way it is envisaged. The implementation of the law should be top priority as it is, because we cannot live lawlessly in a safe society. As it stands today, the discordant noise from states as it relates to the governance of the mineral and mining space in Nigeria is unwholesome, and in this case, we must at least commend those who are doing it well, especially the governor of Nasarawa State, because we know the pathway they have treaded on. But there are some states where validly licensed mining companies and entities are harassed, and in some instances prevented from operating by some national government agencies. This is very, very disturbing. This is disturbing. The Mineral and Mining Act have made provisions of how such concern can be addressed and resolved. It is therefore my view that one of the ways to ensure a sustainable development of the mineral and mining sector in Nigeria will be to identify the grey areas in the mineral and mining activities in 2007 with a view of amending what needs to be amended and making provisions for whatever aspect that have not been covered adequately by the implementation of the law in the last 17 years. 2023 capital budget for the Ministry of Solid Mineral Development in Nigeria was just 27 billion, which was about 20 billion at the current exchange rate. It was reported this year that the minister lobbied the National Assembly for 250 billion for support, but the National Assembly gave what was even smaller than that of last year. Whereas President Joe Biden has just proposed $1.6 billion budget for the USGS for 2025. Now you can ask me, US that has found every other thing, still spending so much humongous resources in their USGS guideline. Then where are we as a nation? We need to change and want to be part of the global north in moving forward this sector. Of course, the third leg on which the sustainable development of the mineral and mines stand is the availability of reputable professionals to drive and sustain confidence in the sector. In this regard, there must be a regulatory framework that provides oversight for professionals involved in the sector. And I'm happy we already have the legislation to that. The Council of the Mineral Mining Engineers and Science Committee was established by government to serve this purpose. The enforcement of the COMEC Act by government will guarantee that quacks in the sector are weeded out, while compromised professionals will be made to face the law. And I'm happy what the minister said during the last induction ceremony of the COMEC graduate. He said, any application that is not signed by a COMEC registered professional will never be entertained at the ministry. That is the way to go, and that is all we recommend. The necessary confidence to drive this growth cannot be guaranteed if the field is left to all comers with no training or professional competence to lead the charge. Ladies and gentlemen, I have deliberately avoided the technical jargons and statistics in the presentation because I do not want to bore you with all those. I know the thematic discussion we take on the technical and statistical nitty-gritty at the round table continue. Your Excellencies, distinguished stakeholders, the Nigerian mining and mineral sector should move from the touted potential to actual benefit for the growth of and we are not afraid of taking difficult decisions that will move the nation forward. I believe that the time is right and that the political will is there to ensure that this sector takes its pride of place in the development of the economic status of Nigeria. Once more, I appreciate the organizers for giving me this platform to speak. Thank you all for that.
Thank you so very much, Professor.
So on behalf of the Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Kosaki, I join previous speakers to extend warm greetings to all of you who are here. The timing of this roundtable could not have been more perfect, as the importance of the mining sector in Nigeria's economic development cannot be overstated. It is heartwarming to see such a diverse group of stakeholders coming together at this event to serve as a platform for discussions and collaborations towards achieving sustainable growth. Mining plays a significant role in Nigeria's economy, providing essential raw materials for various sectors and contributing to national development. The industry, however, faces some challenges that must be addressed to ensure its sustainability and responsible growth. The Kaduna State government is committed to diversifying its economy, and this is hoped to achieve through mining. We have executed 7 joint venture agreements with reputable national and international companies. We have formed 5 joint venture companies and countries, all in relation to mining. We are optimistic about the positive results that this partnership will yield, and we remain dedicated to the growth and development of the mining industry. organizers of this thoughtful initiative. I wish us all fruitful deliberations and successful outcomes. Thank you very much.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please can we give Our Excellency Deputy Governor. Our next for goodwill message, let me invite the Spanish ambassador to Nigeria to give just 2 minutes goodwill message. Please, let's welcome you to the program.
Thank you, MC, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Even when being a diplomat, I will stand on the existing protocol, but let me at least acknowledge the presence of Her Excellency Deputy Governor and my good friend, Minister Al Ltd. And also to express my gratitude to my brother and honorary Spaniard, Al Mohammed, for having invited me this morning. I was not prepared to speak this morning, so let me remain within the boundaries of what is a goodwill message. But allow me at least to recall something that you know better than me. That is that Nigeria has been blessed with abundance of solid minerals, and that at a time when everyone in the international community is struggling to have access to those critical minerals that as I say, you have in abundance. Now, this has already been proved by the mapping of your resources that, as the Minister recalled, has been funded by the World Bank and with a very relevant participation of the Spanish company Kuru, and which needs to be completed and deepened, as the Minister said very clearly, to the sector. Now, the resources are clearly there, and it is for you, all Nigerian stakeholders, to make that promise come true, and that is why I was so impressed to listen to Minister Al Ltd present his very impressive agenda and to set such a clear path for the future. As for Spain, we are aware that Nigeria has embarked on a process of renewal, and let me just say that we, the government, our companies, want to be committed partners in that process. I wish you a very successful seminar, and I thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the goodwill. Please, can we give him another round of applause? Permit me to call in quick succession the former Minister of State for Trade and Investments, Haji Aisha Abubakar, for her goodwill message. And as she's coming, please clap for her and let's encourage her. I will urge DIG Frank Uba, who is representing IG, to please be on standby.
Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, past and present, I will not take too much of your time. On behalf of BC, I want to say very well done for this event. And I have very little to add, just to say that to achieve sustainable development in Nigeria's mining sector, we must prioritize gender equality and women's empowerment. We must ensure equal access to opportunities, resources, and decision-making positions within the sector. So I'm very excited to hear the Honourable Minister on your 7-point agenda. I know that the women will be well represented. I don't want us to go the way agriculture has gone. We're still struggling. We've seen what the oil has done in the industry. I know it will be different in the mining sector. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Madam. I'm also very excited that the 7-point agenda of Honorable Minister will be well discussed at this brainstorming session. And let me leak this that the Minister has promised that he will still come back either today or tomorrow, to be a part of this discussion. So if there is any question or anything that is agitating our mind, please, let's get ready for him whenever he comes. You'll be most welcome, your Honorable Minister. Now, to my friend and the representative of the Inspector General of Police, DIG Frank MNI.
I am DIG Frank MNI, the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of training and development at the Force Headquarters here in Abuja. I am here representing the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Beteku, PhD, who is currently out of the country on an official assignment and therefore unavoidably absent. He has asked me to tender his unreserved apologies and regrets for not being able to be here in person. The IGP has equally asked me to convey his profound appreciation and commendation for the organizers of this event for his timeliness and the choice of the subject matter under conversation. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian Police Force clearly understands the very intricate and dynamic relationship between security and national development. The Nigerian Police Force, even in more concrete terms, understands clearly the nexus between insecurity and illegal mining in some parts of the country. In the light of these, therefore, the Nigerian Police Force will be taking the following steps to support efforts at guaranteeing sustainable development of our mining sector. Firstly, the Nigerian Police Force wish to pledge its irrevocable commitment to strengthening its partnership with the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals, state governments, host communities of mining sites, civil society organizations, and other law enforcement agencies in working together to ensure the sustainable development of the mining sector. Secondly, we will work with a very charismatic, pragmatic, and oratorial Minister for Solid Minerals to ensure the actualization of the mines police. We'll work with the Honorable Minister to ensure that we're able to divest and purge our mining sector of all forms of crime and criminality. We collaborate with all stakeholders to ensure that we move our country away from the uncomplimentary toga of being described as a country with resource costs or paradox of plenty to a country actually in charge of its natural resources and managing the sustainable exploitation and exploration of it. Will equally, Honorable Minister, deploy the equal as well as multilateral platforms of Interpol and Afripol to ensure that we're able to track and tackle the organized criminal elements, bandits, armed traffickers, and other rogue entrepreneurs that are behind some of the crimes taking place within the mining sector. Honorable Minister, will equally upscale the activities of our explosive ordnance disposal unit, popularly known as the Bomb Disposal Squad, to ensure a stricter, safer, and more professional handling of explosives that are legitimately used in the mining sector. The objectives here will be to ensure that these explosives in any way slip into the hands of terrorists and rogue elements. Finally, we'll continue to intensify our crackdown on all kinds of crime and criminality taking place within the mining sector. It might interest this audience to note that between January 2023 and now, we've arrested a total of 198 persons who are complicit in illegal mining and other forms of crimes related to the mining sector. Some of these suspects are foreigners, while others are Nigerians. 111 of these suspects were arrested in Nasarawa State alone, not because Nasarawa State is the capital of all the crimes, but because the state government and the people of Nasarawa State has provided an enabling environment for our operatives to function. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before I round off, may I once again pledge our commitment to working with all stakeholders in ensuring the sustainable development of our mining sector. I want to thank you for the privilege of being on this platform, even as we wish our country and all of us the best of this celebration. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so very much, DIG Frank MNI. He has just put it. What was crossing my mind as he was making the speech is that the Honorable Minister for Solid Minerals was just nodding his head and as if we are in tandem. So, Honorable Minister, sir, you have the pledge from the Nigerian Police Force. Thank you so very much for that. Permit me to quickly call on the President of Miners Association of Nigeria. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister, Solid Minerals Development, my very dear brother, Honorable Henry Dele Alake, Your Excellency the Vice Deputy Governor Kaduna State, and please allow me to recognize everyone here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'll be very brief because I didn't expect I'll be called to speak. The very fact that the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, in conjunction with Bruit Costaud, was able to put this thing together is something that we should consider as a first step in taking our nation out of the wood. I must commend the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development. Going by his speech, one is very, very much encouraged because he has been able to illuminate all the underlying issues threatening the stability of this country and also threatening to destroy our economy. As far as I'm concerned, the 8 years I spent as National Security Advisor, one of the most critical, most complex areas that we had to deal with was the mining sector. The nexus between insecurity and the mining sector cannot be ignored. The Honorable Minister has been able to identify the most important aspects that need to be treated with the urgency of now. Your 7-point agenda is perfectly in order, particularly the local value addition, as well as the setting up of a security outfit. On my own part, Your Excellency, even though I'm out of government, I can assure you it's a labor of love for me to deal with anything that can enhance the mining sector in our country, because it is probably only challenged by the agricultural sector outside the petroleum sector. You can always call on me. I'm just a phone call away. I will do everything that I can to share my previous experiences with you. I also want to, before I exit the stage, thank you for bringing along our foreign partners, our friends. I see the ambassador, the Spanish ambassador is in our midst, and I just hope that we'll be able to garner other foreign partners and collaborators in this enterprise. Mr. Ambassador, we are very, very much delighted. Trabajamos juntos. Hasta la victoria siempre. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Will be represented by Excellency Deputy Governor, the Honorable Minister of Southern Mineral Development, representative of the Minister of Environment, representative of the IGP here present, and the DG NIPS, our ambassadors here present, and stakeholders, and everybody that has made this gathering, successful. As we come to the end of this inaugural session of the two-day stakeholders roundtable on the development of the mining industry in Nigeria, I extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for your invaluable presence, participation, and contribution. First and foremost, I would like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to NIPS for partnering with us to provide this unique platform for meaningful discourse and collaboration. We are profoundly grateful to our distinguished speakers here for sharing their insights, expertise, and experiences, which have undoubtedly enriched our understanding and propel us towards actionable solutions. Let me specifically thank the Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, Dr. Adiza Balarabe, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Adele Alake, the Minister of State Development, Prince Shoaib Abubakar, the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Tunja Lausa, the General of Police, advised by DIG Frank Kuba, the Spanish and the Cuban ambassadors here present, among others. To all delegates, industry experts, government officials, and stakeholders who have traveled from far and wide to be part of this gathering, your commitment to the advancement of the mining sector in Nigeria is truly commendable. Last but not the least, I extend my gratitude to the organizing committee, staff of NIPS and BC, and other supporting staff whose dedication and hard work have been instrumental in ensuring the success of this event. Our host, the Abuja Continental Hotel, we can thank you now. At the end of this two-day stakeholders roundtable, the idea generated here will form the core of the report we will be sending to the government to enhance the development of the mining industry in Nigeria. We shall continue with plenary and breakdown sessions for today after the tea break. I also look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the continuation of this roundtable. Thank you once again for your participation and unwavering commitment.